Emma stops mid-aisle, hands me a cream-colored note. 7 words in her handwriting, Dad. I found his files. Help me. I look up. Emma's terrified. Dylan's smiling, confident, unaware. 180 wedding guests freeze in confused silence. I stand, holding the note. Dylan's smile falters. Let me tell you how we got here. If this hook got you, subscribe so you catch every news story. 35 years at Lockheed Martin designing satellite stabilization systems. I retired 3 years ago after Janet died from ovarian cancer. We'd been married 32 years. The house felt too big after that, so I spent most of my time in the workshop. I live in the same ranch house we bought in 1991, peeling paint on the shutters. Cracked driveway. 13-year-old Toyota Tacoma in the garage. I shop at Walmart, run the same route every morning through the neighborhood where we raised Emma. People see a struggling retiree on a fixed pension. They're wrong. I hold 3 patents on satellite stabilization systems. US $8,234,901 covers gyroscopic stabilization algorithms for communication satellites. US $8,456,123 details redundant attitude control for military reconnaissance satellites. US $8,789,456 describes fuel-efficient station-keeping methodology for satellite constellations. Those patents pay $847,000 annually. Monthly payments of $70,583.33 deposited through Veronica Cho's law firm trust account. She's been my IP attorney for 18 years. Nobody knows. Not Emma. Not the neighbors. Not anyone. I learned to hide wealth from Janet. 3 years before she died, I mentioned buying a new truck. The Tacoma was only 7 years old then. Janet looked up from grading papers. Does it run? Yeah, but... Then keep it. Boring is what you want from money, Ted. Predictable. Reliable. Nothing that draws attention. I kept the Tacoma. She was right. After she died, I kept the practice. The quarterly deposits arrive with bureaucratic precision. I bank them. I live on my $60,000 pension. The patent income sits in accounts Dylan will never discover. My workshop fills the converted garage. Vintage slide rules line the pegboard walls, organized chronologically from the 1940s through the 1970s. Framed Lockheed Martin project photos show non-classified work satellite assembly, testing procedures, launch preparations. Filing cabinets contain patent documentation. I still perform orbital mechanics calculations on my 1960s K&E log duplex DC trig slide rule. The satisfying click of precision instruments, the mechanical reliability of pre-digital engineering. It grounds me. Thursday mornings, I sit at my workbench with coffee and check Veronica's email confirming the quarterly deposit. Same amount, same account, same process. To someone who didn't know better, the framed certificates on my workshop wall looked like retirement hobby decorations. Old paperwork from a bygone career. Boring is what you want from money. Janet was right about that. I met Dylan a year ago when Emma brought him to Sunday dinner. Tailored suit. Brooks Brothers, probably $800. Tag Heuer Carrera, watch catching the light when he gestured. Leased BMW 5 Series in my driveway. He claimed to make $78,000 as a consultant. The math didn't work. Over subsequent visits, Dylan asked questions. Casual at first. Those old satellite projects must have generated some patents, right? Then, more specific. Have you thought about estate planning, Ted? Making sure Emma's protected if something happens? During his 3rd workshop visit, I watched in the reflection of my polished machinist's vice as Dylan photographed the patent documents on my wall. He asked about those old stabilization projects, while I explained gyroscopic algorithms. He suggested I should consider updating beneficiary designations. Said Emma should have joint ownership for tax purposes. The language was rehearsed, too precise for casual conversation. Dylan played Spotify playlists during our talks. Folksy Americana when we discussed my career. Indie pop with Emma. Classical during serious business conversations. Calculated manipulation disguised as shared interests. After his fourth visit, I called Veronica. Dylan's asked specific questions about patent assignment, spousal transfer rights, and power of attorney, all framed as estate planning advice. She was quiet for 3 seconds. That's not curiosity, Ted. That's reconnaissance. Her voice shifted. No longer friendly attorney, now protective counselor. We need Marcus Webb on this today. Marcus Webb, former Army intelligence, now specializing in corporate IP theft cases. Veronica had used him for 15 years. What are we looking for? Pattern confirmation. If he's done this before, Marcus will find it. I hung up and sat in my workshop. The patent frames Dylan had photographed hung on the wall. US 8,000, 234,901. US 8,000, 456, 123. US 8,000, 789, 456. $12 million in projected royalties through 2034. Dylan had called them adorable old paperwork. I didn't correct him, just smiled and nodded like the naive engineer he thought I was. That was his first mistake. 6 months into their relationship, Dylan orchestrated an engagement dinner at Highlands Bar and Grill in Birmingham. Private dining room. 15 guests. Emma's pharmaceutical sales colleagues. Dylan's business contacts. I wore my charcoal suit. The same one I'd wear to the wedding 6 months later. During dessert, Dylan stood for a toast. I want to thank everyone for celebrating with us tonight. Practiced smile. Strategic pauses. Emma and I are building something special, and having family here means everything. He turned to me. Ted's had a good run. 35 years at Lockheed Martin, some interesting projects, generated a few patents that are probably collecting dust somewhere. Polite laughter around the table. Emma tells me you've got these old satellite stabilization patents from the 90s and 2000s. That's adorable, Ted. I mean, technology moves fast, right? Those things are basically worthless paperwork now. But hey, it's the thought that counts. More uncomfortable laughter. Don't worry, Ted. Once Emma and I are married, I'll help manage whatever little nest egg you've got. You engineering guys are brilliant with math, but terrible with money. My weathered hands stayed folded on the white tablecloth. I watched Dylan perform for his audience. Emma's smile looked forced. She glanced at me apologetically. I drove home alone to my shabby ranch house, sat in my workshop, with the lights off for 20 minutes. The patent frames hung on the wall, barely visible in the darkness. US 8,000, 234,091. US 8,000, 456, S23. US 8,000, 789, 456. Worthless paperwork. I turned on the lights and made 2 phone calls. First, Veronica. Whatever investigation is necessary. No budget constraints. Understood. Second, Emma. Are you truly happy? A pause. Of course, Dad. The hesitation confirmed my worst fears. I hung up and looked at the patent documentation. US 8,000, 234,901. US 8,000, 456, 143. US 8,000, 789, 456. Worthless paperwork. Dylan had no idea what he was trying to steal. The day after Dylan's engagement dinner, I authorized Veronica to begin the investigation. Marcus Webb started surveillance within 48 hours. Veronica worked her network IP attorneys in Boston and Atlanta, aerospace employment databases, financial investigators. I spent 2 hours at the University of Alabama Huntsville Aerospace Engineering Lab, verifying Dylan's claimed employment history. Marcus's preliminary report arrived Monday morning. GPS tracking showed Dylan's BMW visiting a luxury Birmingham apartment. Monthly rent, $4,200. Financial database searches revealed a $340,000 gap between his declared $78,000 consultant income and actual spending patterns. Telephoto surveillance photographs documented a meeting with a woman later identified as Jennifer Costa. Veronica's network confirmed the pattern. Dr. Raymond Costa, pharmaceutical researcher, paid Dylan $200,000 in 2022 to disappear after discovering theft attempts on formulation patents worth $3.2 million. Jennifer was his daughter. She'd been engaged to Dylan for 8 months. Similar settlements in Atlanta in 2020, $85,000. Another in Denver in 2019, $55,000. Dylan had done this 3 times. My aerospace database search confirmed Dylan had 0 patents filed under his name. No employment records at Northrop Grumman or Boeing Satellite Systems, despite his claims of guidance systems work. The credentials were fabricated. Most damning, Marcus discovered Dylan's laptop cloud backup. Obtained legally through a subpoena, Veronica filed based on preliminary fraud evidence. Standard discovery in IP theft cases. A spreadsheet titled IP Acquisition Timeline. 5 sheets. Target research. Listed patent numbers and estimated values. Relationship milestones. Tracked emotional manipulation stages. Document access log. Noted when he'd photographed my workshop files. Legal strategy. Outlined post-marriage patent assignment approaches. Previous successes. Detailed his 4 prior thefts with settlement amounts. 2 weeks later, I sat in Veronica's office conference room. Marcus presented his findings on a tablet. Surveillance photos. Financial analysis. The spreadsheet. Veronica spread legal documents across the mahogany table. He's done this 4 times. You were target number 4. The wedding gives him legal access to claim spousal property rights. Then he forces a crisis, offers to help manage your assets, gets you to sign transfer documents, and either sells the patents or settles when you discover the theft. I looked at the spreadsheet on Marcus's tablet. Target, Theodore Mackenzie. Patent portfolio value, $12 million estimated. Relationship milestone, engagement achieved, wedding scheduled, legal access pending. What's our move? Veronica smiled. We wait for the wedding. Maximum witnesses, minimum escape routes. I didn't tell Emma about the investigation. I wanted her to make her own decision about Dylan without my interference. But 3 days before the wedding, she texted me, Dad, we need to talk. I found something. She'd discovered Dylan's laptop backup on her own. The same files Marcus had already documented. Her independent discovery gave us something more powerful than my investigation. Her testimony as the intended victim. Her documentation as corroborating evidence. Her agency in stopping her own exploitation. I walked down the aisle with Emma's note still in my hand. 180 guests watch in confused silence. Stand beside Emma at the altar. Look at Dylan. I need you to stop talking for 30 seconds. Just 30. Because I've got a timeline here. And your timeline. And they don't match. I produce a folder from my jacket. Printed spreadsheet pages. Dylan's own IP acquisition timeline. I read aloud. Target, Theodore Mackenzie. Patent portfolio value, $12 million estimated. Relationship milestone, Engagement achieved. Wedding scheduled. Legal access pending. The garden falls silent. Dylan's face drains of color. My daughter found these files 3 days ago. She's been documenting everything since. Screenshots, emails, saved files. Using the scientific methodology I taught her for middle school science fair projects. Emma steps beside me, pulls folded papers from her bouquet. Chain of evidence, Dad. Timestamps. Everything. Veronica Cho steps forward from the third row. Red-framed glasses catching sunlight. Dylan, I'm Veronica Cho, Mr. Mackenzie's intellectual property counsel. I filed preliminary injunctions on all 3 patents. Marcus Webb has documentation of your activities in Boston, Atlanta, and Denver. Marcus Webb steps forward from the back row. 6 feet of military bearing blocking the exit. Dylan's face drained of color. This is insane. I was trying to help. I cut him off. My patents generate $847,000 annually. They're worth approximately $12 million in total projected royalties through 2034. You called them worthless paperwork. That was your mistake. Dylan tries to leave. Marcus blocks the exit, producing documentation. Several guests pull out phones. Ted's former Lockheed colleagues. Emma's pharmaceutical sales network. 17 different recordings of the confrontation. Over the following 6 weeks, consequences unfold in stages. Federal wire fraud charges filed. Multi-state pattern. Boston, Atlanta, Denver, Birmingham. Interstate electronic communications used to facilitate theft attempts. Potential 20-year sentence. Dr. Raymond Costa agrees to testify publicly. Jennifer Costa joins him. Their testimony describes identical manipulation patterns. Same questions about patents. Same estate planning suggestions. Same gradual financial control. Marcus sent me a photo 2 weeks after the wedding. Dylan's BMW on a flatbed tow truck. Repo company logo visible. The driver was hooking up the chains. Missed 3 payments, Marcus's text said. Leasing company moved fast. Without settlement income, Dylan couldn't afford the $807 monthly lease. His luxury Birmingham apartment lease terminates after the landlord discovers the federal investigation. His MBA alma mater quietly removes him from alumni directories after the fraud charges become public. Social media spreads the wedding altar confrontation video. 2 million views across platforms. Dylan's face becomes permanently associated with patent predator searches. Any possibility of future romance fraud destroyed. His parents in Charlotte release a public statement distancing themselves from his actions. 6 weeks after the altar confrontation, Dylan accepts a plea agreement. 5 years, federal prison. $340,000 restitution to previous victim. Costa, Atlanta engineer, Denver engineer. Permanent prohibition from IP consulting work. Agreement to testify against any co-conspirators in similar schemes. In exchange, he avoids the full 20-year exposure and additional state charges. Veronica called on a Thursday morning. Dylan accepted the plea agreement. 5 years, federal prison. $680,000 restitution. I set down my coffee. Looked at the patent frames on the wall. Good. Same day, the monthly royalty arrived. $70,583. 33, deposited through Veronica's trust account. Like clockwork. Dylan's in prison. Emma's safe. The patents keep generating income like clockwork. Boring is what you want from money. Janet was right. Enjoying the drama? A like and comment keeps me going. 14 months after the altar confrontation, I sit in my workshop on a Thursday morning. The monthly patent royalty payment arrives. $70,583.33. Deposited through Veronica's trust account. Same amount, same process. Predictable. Emma moved back to Huntsville. Rents a small house near my neighborhood. Her company promoted her to regional pharmaceutical sales manager. After recognizing her analytical skills during the crisis. $94,000 salary. She joins me for Sunday dinners. We cook Janet's recipes. Pot roast, mashed potatoes. Afterwards, Emma sketches Cooper's hawks in her observational journals while I clean up. I finally told Emma about the patent income. Together, we established the Janet Mackenzie Memorial Scholarship at the University of Alabama. $50,000 annually for biology students, funded from the royalty payments. I keep the shabby exterior of my ranch house. Peeling paint. Cracked driveway. I could fix them now. I don't. They feel honest. My workshop remains filled with vintage slide rules and patent documentation. I still perform orbital mechanics calculations on my 1960s K&E log duplex Desi trig. The satisfying click of precision instruments grounds me. Janet used to say, boring is what you want from money. She was right. My patents generate the same amount every quarter. Like clockwork, funding scholarships and Emma's future without drama or theft. Dylan's in year 2 of his federal sentence. I run every morning, tinker in my workshop, have Sunday dinner with my daughter. That's not revenge. That's just removing a problem and getting back to living. If someone's asking too many questions about your assets, trust your instincts. Boring wealth beats stolen wealth every time.